All right. Well, it's 12:02 and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. Good afternoon. Happy February 3rd. All of that good jazz. Happy National History Month or Black History Month. We're glad that you guys decided to join us this afternoon on this Maternal Health Network webinar. We're so excited. We've been telling you, right? It's coming, it's coming. We now have launched our Maternal Health Network website. And so the bulk of our time over the next hour will be spent going through that website and showing you the functionality of it, both for you, your organization, and hopefully consumers in the future. And then we're going to give you guys some time to kind of play with the website and share some of your thoughts with your colleagues. And then we're going to unveil our social media presence that we have and ask you guys how we can best use that resource for the network. And I think I said it before I showed it to you guys. Those are our two objectives for our time together over the next 60 minutes. So before we get started on presenting the website to you guys, I just want to remind you of who I am. My name is Lisa Watson, and I am the project manager for the Maternal Health Network. And I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Katie Powell. She's the one who you guys receive all the communications from. She's really the power behind this project. And so if you at any point during our webinar have any technical difficulties, please feel free to reach out to Katie using the chat function directly, and she will assist you. So as I get started in presenting the website to you guys, because we have about 14 people on right now, we are expecting about 30 people to join us. So we won't have time to go through and do introductions, but if you wouldn't mind just throwing in the chat, like, hello, this is, Lisa Watson from Social Entrepreneurs. That'll be helpful so that people understand who all has joined us for this webinar. So just take a moment right now to throw your name into the chat. Oh, thank you, Scott. You started it off. Scott from First Life San Bernardino says hello. Hey, Nicole. Curly Palmer, nice to see you, kinda, in a virtual reality. Okay, so as folks are putting their introductions into the chat, you can actually just see who's joined us. You know, one of the real values that we've heard time and time again through the network is your ability to connect with one another. So please feel free to connect with one another, even if it's just through the chat these days. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started then in presenting for you guys our website. So before I kind of go into the nuts and bolts of the website, I just wanted to kind of set the stage and let you guys know what the kind of overarching function or purpose of building out this website was as we get further and further along in our growth as a network. So we established, we had built in to the project, the development of this website, really initially to be a communications tool for you guys, for ways that we could actually communicate to the field about what our plan was, what progress we were making towards the plan, and then have a mechanism to provide you guys with like updated and current information. But as we started to develop the website, we concurrently were developing our action plan for our short-term implementation strategies. And we started to see all of the promise that the website could potentially offer in supporting achieving our goals within our strategic plan. So that was part of the delay in getting this rolled out. We had originally hoped to have done this in 2020, but as we started to build a more complex website, we needed to, account for building the beast is what we call it. And so here we are today, and the beast has been built. And so I'm super excited to share with you what we have developed on behalf of your network. And then I'm interested in knowing how you think this will be most useful to you guys in your organizations and the work that you guys do. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to first provide you guys with a presentation based on static images that I have sort of cut and paste from the website. I felt like that was going to be kind of the least distracting and the easiest and most efficient way to present to you the different components of the website itself. But then I'm going to give you guys some time to actually go in there, manipulate it, and explore it a little bit before you get to connect with your colleagues and talk about the website itself. So that is just, I'm trying to manage your expectations that I'm not going to go in utilizing the interactive website itself. And that is the reason why. You guys will have the opportunity to do that shortly. So our landing page was built to give folks both sort of a general understanding of what the network is, but also with the intent to make it engaging and compelling, I think would be the word. And so we've chosen to use what they call, now that I've learned in website design, a hero image. And this is an image that really supports our brand. It's on the front of our strategic plan, but then it offers a really quick fact for the user to kind of engage them and bring them in. So you can see here that we've used how many children are born every year in San Bernardino, really to emphasize the importance of the work that you guys are doing because of the significant amount of children who are being born in this county. Right below that kind of hero image, we had to provide something that really offered a compelling reason for the network to exist. So what you see here are our guiding values, are what we actually are hoping to achieve through implementation of our strategic plan. And so that's where you get as you scroll down on the page. And the website was built to be mobile friendly. And so if you're accessing it on your smart device, you should be able to see it in a clear and easy fashion. As you scroll further down onto the landing page, we thought it was really important to share with folks kind of what were our pinnacle issues. And for those of you who've been with us since the beginning, as well as those of you who may have just recently engaged, you all know that our primary issue in San Bernardino and our priority is on supporting improved maternal and infant outcomes for African American and Black families in particular, as that's the most pressing issue facing our families. And so here we outline that with some pretty, I would say, straightforward language. So you might want to visit that when you have time to explore the website shortly. And then as you go further down, we talk a little bit about the work that we're doing and then our service sectors. All of these components on our landing page are linked to the pages that I will be going through at a very high level following this, but it's an easy way for folks to kind of gain access to the variety of different components of the website itself. And then at the very end, we have a call to action, which is a best practice in website design, which is to say to folks, are you interested in joining this work? Because we're always interested in expanding our network. And so we give them the link to actually connect with us. And then you can see on the bottom, it's kind of a table of contents, for lack of a better word, where folks can access the variety of pages outside of just the menu that's on top of the landing page itself. So that's just a general overview of our landing page. We really tried to make it so that folks, we know that the click rate after a landing page drastically declines. And so we wanted to give folks really easy access to whatever it is that brought them to the website to begin with directly from our landing page. And before I continue, Katie, I'm just going to ask that you kind of monitor the chat. And if there are questions that come up for folks, please feel free to put that in the chat and Katie will highlight that for me and we can respond to your questions as they come up. Okay, so our very first page is our About Us page, and it provides a background about the Maternal Health Network, how it was established, our unifying vision, and the values that drive all of our membership. The Our Priorities page, let me just, having a technical issue, so just give me a sec. So the Our Priorities page provides a background of how the network actually was established. And so you guys have heard me say this time and time again, but there's a high likelihood that we will have new users who go to our website. So we talk about the fact that our work is really being guided by a collective impact framework. And so on this particular section of the website, we provide kind of what the 5 pillars of collective impact are. For those who may not be familiar, it's community engagement. We describe how we actually did that, having a shared vision. We actually provide that on the website. Our use of evidence-based decision-making, which as we get into the data component, they can see how we're actually using that and implementing that throughout our work. The fact that we're taking collaborative action and we have a collaborative action plan. And then the last but not least, our efforts that support sustainability. So we go through that on this particular page. We also offer kind of our 5 priorities for the network. And so we outline like, what did we find were our most critical issues that needed to be addressed across the maternal health system. And that includes 1, of course, our focus on equity. The second one being our early identification of risk. The third one being access to community resources. The fourth one being data sufficiency. And the 5th one being provider capacity. And then the last portion of this page offers our collaborative plan of action. So in this page, we actually offer kind of our 5 areas of effort, which include policy and practice, community education, service expansion, data collection, and workforce development. And this is the area of the website where people can actually download our whole entire strategic plan if they so wish. Okay, so the next tab, we have our members page, and this is really to honor and value all of you, the network itself. So in this section of the website, we describe the various sectors that are engaged in the network. We also offer a framework for accountability. So if you scroll down on this particular page, that's the Our Members page, it actually shows you kind of how we have structured a backbone organization, how we have a leadership team, and how we have work groups that we use on occasion. And then, of course, last but not least, we have a listing of both our leadership team, but also an entire roster of the network. So if when you get a chance to explore, you want to look for your name, you'll likely find it in this area of the website. Okay. So then this is where things got complicated, right? So you guys might recall, as we built out our strategic plan, one of the things that we were tasked with doing was to identify and map all of the resources that are throughout the maternal health network. And we created this sort of interactive Google map. And when we showed you guys that, there were a lot of you that were like, this is great. Who's going to host this in the future? And lo and behold, we are going to host it in the future. And we thought, where better to host it but on our website. And so this page actually offers the entire listing of the community resources that a family may need either before, during, or directly following their pregnancy. And Katie, do you remember how many resources are included in this? Thousands. It was thousands, yeah?
It was thousands. I think, to be honest, Lisa, after hand tabulating them, I blocked it out of my memory for so many resources to have to identify and map, but it is comprehensive, to say the least.
So I think that there was trauma involved, but to the betterment of the network. And so there are thousands of resources listed on this portion of the website. It might be an area where you want to explore. Just as a reminder, so we had 7 kind of high-level categories. So as you navigate this portion of the website, you can navigate it based on what kind of services you're looking for or needing on behalf of your client or as a consumer themselves. And each of these categories actually have subcategories. And so you can click onto birthing supports, and underneath that will be the subcategories contained there. Folks can search for resources either by using a zip code so that you can see, well, where are the services that are close to me? And when you do that and you click onto a particular service, this is what actually populates on the website. So it actually tells you what the resource is, the address, and then it's an interactive map where people can use the map and then map out from their particular location to the resource itself. So We hope that this will serve both the field as well as consumers as they're searching for and trying to access comprehensive services. Okay, so our events and resources page, another one of those areas where it was, you know, a part of what made this a beast. So the events and resources pages really was meant to provide information on kind of 3 different things that we thought would be of value to the network: information on community events, information on provider trainings, and then provider resources. And I want to explain kind of what each of those categories contain for you. So the community events page is a calendar where we're able to post events that support families that are involved in the maternal health system. So this could include things like community baby showers, pregnancy-related support groups, health and nutrition classes specifically for families who are pregnant. So we really will rely upon the support of our membership to populate this calendar of events. So we're going to be asking you shortly to help us understand how best to collect this information from you, but it'll only be as rich of a resource as we're able to acquire information from you. So this is an area where we really feel like providers who are serving families, they may come in, right? And they may self-identify, well, I really want a Lamaze class, but I don't even know where to go. And as a provider, you can either help them navigate through the website to identify what opportunities exist, or you can just refer them to the website and they can explore it themselves. But that's the intention of that subsector of this particular area. The community events page really is supposed to be consumer driven. So the second area where we thought that there was going to be value was a provider training page. And this is really meant to be like a central repository for both collaborative meetings. So things like the Breastfeeding Coalition, the Maternal Mental Health Coalition, the Fatherhood Initiative, you know, the PEI, or, you know, Black Infant Health Collaborative. So we want to be able to post, you know, those sort of collaborative or coordination efforts so that folks know when and where to access those. But we also want to be able to provide opportunities for folks to kind of share and offer and take advantage of training that maybe your partners are providing, but that they have some excess space for collaborative partners to participate. So if you're having a training, say at your organization around, you know, social determinants of health, we know that that's one of our priority training areas, right? It doesn't have to be one of our priority training areas, but you're like, oh, I think that there could be some real value here for other folks in the network, and you want us to post that on the calendar, we can. And there's information that we can, when you go to that portion of the website, you can see, you can click onto something and we can provide information like, we have 5 excess training slots, please contact so-and-so if you're interested. So we can include as much or as little information as you'd like on that particular section of the website. And then the last portion of this particular page has information about provider resource postings. So this is where you can find information like outreach and education resources that have been made available through, say, for instance, right now we have on there the statewide perinatal equity initiative outreach toolkit. So you're like, oh, I want to go and support some messaging because we're doing a real big push on this particular topic right now, and you can access some resources there. We also have included like job postings here. So there's currently a job opening in the Department of Public Health for an MCAH director, and so we're like, oh, we can drop it there. And then toolkits that have been developed to support member actions. And so one of them that we have on this website right now is improving healthcare responses to cardiovascular disease in pregnancy and postpartum. So if you're interested in those kind of things, this is the place that you would get them. This particular webinar will actually be posted on that section of the website after we conclude it. So if we're hosting a webinar or a summit and you can't make it, but you would like to access it at a later time, this would be the area that you would go for that kind of information. Okay, So we're getting sort of towards the end of our table of contents. The research and evidence-based practices page is meant to provide information on interventions that have been proven to achieve their desired outcomes. So if you're considering, implementing a new service, or if you're taking a look at sort of reconfiguring your existing programs, this might be a really great place for you to go to say, well, what's a research-based practice? One of our tenets, and one of the tenets of the collective impact framework, is that when possible, we implement evidence-based practices. So this is a really great resource for you guys to say, well, what evidence-based practices exist in this field? And we've got a number of different categories that we researched and have populated. Where we could, we provided a link directly to that resource. So that might be another area you just kind of want to explore, like, oh, okay, well, how could we do this? And where we were able to identify a link, we provided that in this section of the website. We've also included evidence-based practices that align to our strategic priorities. So we've provided research that's relevant to the entire mental health system. Some of the research that you can find on our website include, data and analysis on the Listening to Mothers study, which we've heavily relied upon in crafting our own consumer survey. There's also information on the maternal and infant health assessment, the MHA data that we have used in the past. And then we also included here the March of Dimes report card, which provides data at a state as well as at a county level on progress towards indicators of maternal and infant health. So that's where you would find that kind of information. I believe this is also the area where we have trends in the field, Katie. So check it out. And then the last kind of major section of the website is our data section. So it has to do with data that's very particular to San Bernardino County. So this is where we present the data that is based on maternal and infant health outcomes, the information that's pulled from the data record, or I'm sorry, the birth records. This is where we have the consumer survey report. And once we conclude our current efforts with the expanded consumer survey, we will update that and post that in this section of the website. And then we also have, our gaps and our asset and gaps analysis here. So this really could be a useful resource for the network if you're, looking at writing a grant, or really kind of taking a look at the data and making data-driven sort of quality improvement considerations for your organization. So then the last kind of button on our homepage or on our menu is a Get Involved button. And this really is an offer to anyone who wants to get involved with us. So this could include new stakeholders, consumers, individuals that are engaged in the network, and you want to add additional information or resources to the work that we're already collectively doing. So you can go into that, and then you can provide us with your contact information if you want us to reach back out to you, or if there's just information that's incorrect on the website, or that you want, to post on the website. It's just a mechanism for folks to really engage with us, because we're not a storefront operation, obviously. This is going to be really important to offer people a direct connection to us when they need to engage. Okay, so now's the time where you guys get to kind of play with the website yourselves. So we're going to give you guys about 3 minutes. And Katie, if you wouldn't mind dropping the link to the website in the chat. So we're going to give you 3 minutes. I'll kind of give you a 1 minute warning when we get close to that 3 minute threshold. And then I'll tell you kind of what our next steps are. So thank you, Katie, for putting the link into the website. Please copy and paste that, and then open up the website. Spend a little bit of time just kind of interacting with the website. We're going to give you guys 3 minutes to do so now. Okay, so we're going to give you guys about 1 more minute. And if you haven't had a chance to do this yet, please take some time to go into that link that says get involved. And if you just put in your name and just tell us hello, then we know that you participated in the webinar. And it's a good way for us to test that this actually works. So if you could do that over the next 60 seconds, that would be great before we get back together.
Lisa, I wanted to note in the chat, Ms. Nicole let us know that there is an organizational firewall that's prohibiting her from accessing the website. I also know we've had issues with that in terms of communicating with the various organizations, because each organization kind of has a different set of privacy issues. I think we can take that back to the website developer and identify if there's anything we can do on our end. It also might be an individual organizational IT issue. So Nicole, thanks for raising that, because I'm sure you're probably not the only one.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. So we are going to have an activity, and Nicole, you probably won't be able to fully participate in this conversation, but I hope that at least you can partner with someone and maybe just think about, based on my presentation, how you might use the website. So this is what we're going to do next, folks. So Katie's going to put you guys in a room with just one other person. We're going to do like, you know, a pairing up of you guys. And what I want you guys to talk about is how you think you will use this website within your organization. So we're going to give you guys about 3 minutes, so about 1.5 minutes each. And Katie's going to put you guys in those rooms right now. She's going to put the prompt up there, and then we'll bring you back all together to do a quick wrap up on this section of our webinar.
Welcome back, everyone. I know that was very speedy, but we'll just wait for everyone to join us back in the room, and then we'll have a moment to discuss together as a group. Oh, Lisa, you are on mute, but welcome back. I didn't know I sent you to a room as well. I hope it was valuable.
No worries. Yeah, no, I was with Hillary and I was like, oh, Hillary, that's great. And so it was perfect. Okay, so this is what we'd like you guys to do now. So, well, I missed a slide, but I hope that the instructions I gave were sufficient and you guys were able to share with your colleague how you think that the website might be useful for your organization. So what we're going to ask you to do now is just put in the chat like one way that you think that your organization that you talked about with your colleague, one way you think that your organization will use the website. So we're going to give you just maybe a minute or so to throw that in the chat for us. That'll help us really kind of understand how we can market this to our other members, because you guys are just a small portion of our entire membership. So we want to hear how you guys think you'll use the website. So just give us one reason.
Lisa, while they're doing that, I just want to let you know you're no longer sharing your screen.
Oh,
for the next portion.
Thank you. That's good to know. Can you see it now? Perfect. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah. While people are also entering in the chat, and I'll read them out to you, I want to note that several members on this call today have already emailed me with events that they want on that calendar. So that seems to be like a really great resource people are already excited about. Do you want me to read out some of the options, Lisa, or can you see the chat okay?
Yeah, if you want to just read them out, a couple of them, that would be great.
Yeah, so it looks like we have a couple people mentioning resources, referrals, events. Black Infant Health is going to utilize our calendar to post their group information, which is so exciting. Refer to resources in the community. That's exactly what that was intended to do. That's really great. Access data for future grant applications. That's exciting. It looks like being able to share with families on all of our First 5 San Bernardino social media sites. So this will bring in the family part of our membership, which is really exciting. And it looks like, yeah, events and resources is kind of where people are feeling like they're excited to start.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad. And of course, I shared this with Hillary in my breakout with her, but you know, we're always super open to feedback. So as you start to really use this resource, if you think like, gosh, if there was this one functionality, it would make it so much better or so much easier, or gosh, if we had this kind of information on the website, that would be really useful. We're always open to that kind of feedback. So please feel free. You guys are already clued in and keyed into Katie's email address, but you can also go to the website and use the website as a communications tool. So I'm glad. All right, well then here's the part that we need from you. So obviously there are certain portions of the website that will only be valuable if we're able to collect information from the field. And there are 3 areas of the website where we're really relying upon our membership to gather information. So there's the services tab, right? So we know that there's going to be updates to that information, and we know that there's likely going to be new services that emerge over, you know, the span of time. So currently, our current approach to collecting that information is that you just email it to Katie, and I think that we've gotten that down pretty well. The second area is around the research and evidence-based practices. So we are constantly scouring the web, and we have joined a number of listservs where we get information about research and evidence-based practices, but we know that you guys are also aware of that information. So again, if you have any of that information you want for us to include, please email it to us. And then the last area is the events and resources page. So we need to be able to post what community events are occurring, what kind of provider trainings are available, and then resources that are available to the field. And currently we have integrated into the website a mechanism to be able to collect that information through the website. We have a poll. We actually have 3 different polls we're going to issue right now, because we want to understand, like, what is going to be the easiest way for us to collect this kind of information from you in the future, because we want to do it in the way that makes the most sense to you. So would you mind, Katie, issuing the first poll? The first one really has to do with services. So what is the best way for us to gather information about the services that are available that we will include on the MHN website? So would that be like a monthly standalone prompt that we could issue, like, this is our monthly reminder, please let us know if there's been any additions to the services you guys are providing or any changes to the information that's included in the current website? We are currently sending out weekly prompts, and so we could add that as just a standard prompt in our weekly email to you to say, remember, if you have any updates about services, this is the place to do it. We could build out on the website like an opportunity for folks to provide us with that information in the same way we ask and offer the opportunity for you guys to provide that information for the community resources and provider trainings. So if you think that that's the best option, please indicate so. And then if there's some way we haven't thought about, if there's another way, you can indicate that on the poll too. So we've got about a third of you guys have weighed in on the poll. We like to get to at least 75%. So we're going to give you guys maybe about a minute to indicate what your personal preference is for collecting this kind of information. Oh, now we're up to 57%. Good job. Almost there, 63%. All right, I'm going to give it about 10 more seconds. So if you haven't weighed in yet, please do so now. All right, Katie, you want to go ahead and close the poll? So it looks like the majority of you said monthly standalone prompts would be the easiest way for us to collect that information. So that's super helpful. We appreciate that. Okay, so now let's transition to the second one, and it's around the research and evidence-based practices. And so again, we are offering you guys the option of that monthly standalone prompt, the weekly prompts that we typically do in our weekly email communications to you. We can build out a web-based option for data inclusion, or if there's something we haven't thought about, please indicate that in the poll now. Okay, we've almost reached our 75% threshold, so I'll give folks maybe about 10 more seconds. And it looks like it's trending in the same direction. Perfect. Okay, Katie, why don't you go ahead and close that poll? And it looks like the majority of you said that monthly standalone prompt. So I'm going to interpret that as like one monthly standalone prompt that calls for any additions to the services or any new research or evidence-based practices you'd like for us to include on the website. Okay, so then the last one has to do with the events and resources page. Okay, so this one is just slightly different because we already have the web-based version here. So I'm going to go through kind of the opportunities for this particular area. So we could do it in the monthly standalone prompts. We could do it through weekly prompts, or for events and resources. Specifically, we're thinking around like the provider trainings. Like, would a telephone call from us to your organization be the best way to gather this kind of information? And so that's what the personal outreach option is. And we didn't include the web-based option of data inclusion because that already exists. So of the other options, what would be best, the best way to collect this information from you guys? So about half of you have weighed in so far. We'll give you guys about 10 more seconds to let us know what your thoughts are. So interesting. This one's a little different. All right, why don't we go ahead and close this poll. So while the monthly standalone prompts still got the most, there was also like the weekly prompts, and that actually makes a lot of sense because this, you know, a month could go by and we could lose information. So let's think about this one, Katie, and think about maybe it's not an either or, maybe it's an and on this one. All right, well, thank you guys. Yeah, for your input on those polls. We will use those, of course, to adjust our practice as we move forward. Okay, so we've got about 15 minutes left, and I think we're right on track. So the next section is really about using our social media presence. And so we have developed a social media presence across 4 different platforms. So we have established a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, we have a Twitter feed, and we have, oh, why did I put Instagram for twice? LinkedIn. I meant LinkedIn. The link is correct. Oh, don't you hate it when you have to see your mistake on screen? Anyways, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn are our 4 platforms. And so you guys are going to get some of this information in an upcoming toolkit we're going to create around best practices around using social media as a form of communication. But we just kind of want to let you know how we're approaching this. So we're using it as a broad-based, you know, we're using it to actually demonstrate a broad range of activities that include like fundraising, actively soliciting feedback, as well as information distribution. So those are kind of our 3 main strategies in utilization of our social media platforms. It's always best if your messages are clearly articulated. And this is one of the things that you guys actually shared with us through our action planning process, was that, you know, the simpler the language, the better, and we know that that's actually consistent with best practices. We want to make sure that our social media sites are well followed, and so we'll talk a little bit about that later, but the amount of people who are following it, of course, exponentially improves and increases our visibility. And then it's really important for social media that there's constant activity on the page. And so we use Hootsuite, if you guys are not familiar with it, but it's a platform that allows us to actually upload content like one time and then schedule distribution so that it looks like all 4 of our sites, that there's constant activity. Now, the information is similar, it's almost consistent across all 4 platforms, but most often people will have a favorite that they engage in most often. So that's kind of how we're approaching use of our social media sites. So this is where you guys get to explore again. So Katie, will you please drop the links into the chat so that folks, what I'd like to ask you to do is choose one of these and just go on one of these, whatever your preferred platform is, and explore kind of the content that we've already generated on this particular social media platform. And then I want you guys to find a single post that kind of resonates with you and like it, right? So that we can get some traction here on our website. And then the last thing, on our social media sites. And then the last thing that I'm going to ask you guys to do, if you're so inclined, is to follow us so that we can improve our exposure, right? So you might want to follow us on your personal account, but if you follow us on an organizational site that you guys have, then we're going to follow you back. And then it's a win-win, right? We will post and get more exposure for your information, and you will post and get more exposure for our information. So with that, we're going to give you guys about 5 minutes to choose one of these platforms, explore it a little bit, and then find something and like it or retweet it or whatever it is you do. Like, I don't even have an Instagram feed. So if that's your choice, do whatever they do on Instagram. And we're going to give you guys 5 minutes to do that now. So another opportunity as you guys are going through our social media presence is you can comment on one of our posts. So engage with the post and maybe mention something that resonated with you or that you liked, or additional fact or fun fact about that particular post. So that's another opportunity that you guys have to engage with the social media platforms. So we're going to give you guys about 1 more minute before we ask for your attention back. Okay, so I hope you guys were able to kind of interact with some of our social media presence. Just as an addition to our presence itself, we are going to be creating a toolkit where you guys can actually take our posts and then post them on your own feeds, or for you guys to use at your own pleasure. That'll be coming up in the next couple of months. Okay, so we are in the final stretch here of our webinar, and like we always do, we always want to hear from you in terms of how valuable this was. Was this a good use of your time? What really was important, and what could we have done to make this a better experience for you? And so if you wouldn't mind, Katie, just throwing the link to a SurveyMonkey evaluation into the chat, that would be great. We would ask that you guys go ahead and give us your feedback. We always are looking for ways that we can improve our practice on behalf of the network. And so with that, the webinar is done. The website is live. The social media platforms are active. And if you guys have any questions or any feedback that you'd like to give us, you know how to contact us. Thank you so much. And I hope the rest of your Wednesday is productive. Bye, guys.
Thank you.